it's Jo Carter. Welcome to another book unhaul. I think this is number 3 maybe, which is good because I've got 3+ book hauls now. I think I've got 4. I have recently done an unhaul of 2 of my different types of shelves. So the first one I did was an unhaul of my pile of books series that I can't start yet. So I just really went through and had a look and went, do I want to keep any of these? Why am I keeping them? Am I ever going to want to start them? And then the next I actually went through my red shelf actually this time and did another sort of unhaul, and I pulled them all down. I did the KonMari method that Sam talked about in Thoughts on Tomes. I'll link hers down below or maybe above if I can be technical enough. But I put everything off and sort of looked at it and said, do I want to keep this? Will I reread it? Did it make me happy? And I got rid of a lot of stuff. Some that's going to make me a bit sad-ish to get rid of, but I'm never going to reread them again, so I don't know why they're here taking up space when I don't have a lot of room anymore. And now I've got this great little sort of breathing space about this big, so probably fit about 4, maybe 3, maybe 4 books there, so that's quite nice. I've got some wiggle room. Hopefully I won't buy anything. But yes, let's get into this. So the first ones I want to talk about are the to be read shelf ones that I'm getting rid of. The first one is Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. I'm getting rid of this one. I was kind of interested in what it's about because, I mean, it's shipwreck, a guy's stranded on an island, blah blah blah. That sounds kind of cool. I watched The Blue Lagoon and liked it, but then I actually listened to a video on it by Capricious Helen. She had to read this for her university degree and said that it was a bunch of shit and it was boring and she didn't enjoy it at all. And I decided to take her word for it. Not that, you know, her word's gospel or anything like that, but the writing's really tiny and I sort of feel like, I don't know, it's kind of my idea, but because it's a classic and how old it is as well, I'm kind of worried that I'm not going to enjoy it too. So I decided to get rid of that one. Just wasn't feeling it. Next book I'm getting rid of is Ellie by Leslie Pierce. This one I don't even really remember what it's about. I think it's about 2 friends. I think it could be interesting, but it might be in the division of chick lit that I am not going to enjoy as much, so I decided to get rid of that one too. Stop in the Name of Pants by Louise Renison. I do intend to read the Georgia Nicholson series, but the 2 that I have already in it aren't in this edition and I want mine all to match. So I'm going to get rid of this. And now I'm actually getting rid of a bunch of Agatha Christie books. This is an Agatha Christie crime collection which has got 4.0 from Paddington, Lord Edgware Dies, Murder in Mesopotamia. I'm sure there's somewhere on the internet. Will tell me how to pronounce this one. But I'm getting rid of this not because I want to give up on Agatha Christie, quite the contrary, I really want to start it, but because I don't like bind-ups. I also only got it for $1, so that was quite cheap. And again, I just don't think I'm going to enjoy it if it's a bind-up. Then there's the whole, you know, I finish one book and then I don't get the satisfaction of finishing a book because it's not technically finished. And then where am I going to put it in my shelves? Because I understand these are all in a different series. Like there's the Miss Marple series and then the, can't pronounce his name, I know it starts with P, guy, the other detective. And I think they're all sort of within those series. And then where do you put it? Because I like to have series in orders and it's just, no, just a mental thing that I'm just going to get rid of because I don't need it. Cool. So those are the only ones that are on my to be read shelf. Now these are the ones that I have read. So the first one I'm unhauling that I have read is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. If you've seen my wrap up in December on this, you'll know why. I will post a link to that one somewhere as well. But basically I enjoyed the premise of this book, but the writing was very dull and I couldn't get into it, so I DNF'd it. The next one I also read in December, which is P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. I enjoyed it. It was fluff. It was a nice chick lit book, but there's nothing about it that really wants me to keep it or anything like that. And now into the books that I have had on my shelf. I'm looking at these. I've had most of them on here for ages, and I've read them ages ago. And they're just ones that I just don't really care about anymore. So I've got The Betrayal of Natalie Hargrove by Lauren Kate. Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. The ending shitted me of this one. I'm partway through the movie. I hope that they change the ending because I just didn't like it. Coraline, the graphic novel by Neil Gaiman and adapted and illustrated by P. Craig Russell. I like Coraline's story very much, but I just didn't really like the art style in this enough to want to keep it. So if you want to have a look. That's it there. I hope I'm holding this up right. I'm going to have to get practice on it, aren't I? I'll show you the bit where it's got like a creepy hand. There. If I Stay by Gail Foreman. Really, really love this film edition of it. Normally I hate the film tie-in editions because they look like shit, but I actually like this one more than the original editions. But I did not like the book. Movie was okay, didn't like the book. How I Live Now by Meg Brossoff. I sort of enjoyed it. It probably would have been a 3-star read for me. I don't really mind it. I don't remember much about it. And I just don't care to keep it on my shelf because I'm probably not going to reread it. The Adoration of Jenna Fox by Mary E. Pearson. This was a cool sci-fi novel. This one's I'm kind of sad about letting go of, but I just don't really think of it, and I don't think I'd ever reread it. It didn't make me feel enough to want to reread it, and there's heaps of other books on my shelves that I loved. So I'm going to donate this to more space in with the potential of maybe finding more series I love. So next one is Twilight, the Director's Notebook by Catherine Hardwicke. This is the most sad of all the books that I am to be getting rid of, because I actually think that this is such a beautiful behind the scenes look at it. I'll post in the writing down here whether I actually do unhaul it, because the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going op shopping tomorrow, and so I'm going to bypass my secondhand bookshelf. I'm going to see whether he wants to give me any cash for these, and then the rest I'm going to take to the op shop. And so I'll tell you whether I actually go through with it or not, because I just love like all the behind the scenes stuff of it. God, see, and now I don't know, it's just that it conflicts me as where to put it on my shelf, because I like to have the Twilight Saga in order, but then I think, well, the movie came after the first book, so I should put it in between, and then they're not, like, it's just, I don't know, it's conflict. I should just get rid of it because I don't care, and it's just when I think about it that I think that I have to get up and let my dog out. Billy, do you want to go out to the rest of the room? Let's go. The Short Second Life of Brie Tanner, an Eclipse novella by Stephanie Meyer. I don't think there's much else I need to say about this, aside from the fact that I've kind of moved on from my I have to buy everything Twilight related, even though I did buy Life and Death. Might keep that, I'm not sure, depending on how much I like it. And I just didn't really enjoy Brie's story as much. Like, I mean, it was interesting, aside to the vampires and to the Victoria stuff, but I just don't think I'll reread this ever. So, I wonder what the jacket the inside of it looks like. It's just black. Black and boring. Bone by Bone by Sanjita K. I don't know if I've done a review on this one. I think maybe I did it in a practice video before I started booktubing. Enjoyed it. Interesting thriller, but I thought that the main character was quite dumb, and then a lot of reactions that she did was shit. I mainly kept it because it's such a beautiful book, but that's not a reason to keep it. Now I'm getting rid of the entire 50 Shades of Grey trilogies by E.R. James. I kind of liked the first one, though it annoyed me. It felt like having to sit with my friend and listen to her talk about an abusive relationship and still have to pretend that I loved the guy. The second one, as in like, because you're in Anna's perspective, so you're supposed to love Christian, not that, you know, if my friend was in an abusive relation, I would pretend to like the guy for her sake. Anyways, the second one I quite enjoyed, especially the movie. I feel like the characters grew a lot more there. They got some distance between each other while still being close together. There were still some problematic things, but I liked how it more focused on the problem with, what's her name? Problem with Leela, one of his, I forget what they're called, one of his fuck friends. Whatever they're called. I like that it focused on Leela and Jack as the core conflict, as opposed to their relationship being core conflict, because I feel like that's where the first and the third, because if you see my third video, I'll link it. It's actually also in December, so just go watch that one in general. The third one also just involves relationship drama, and it just annoys me. It's just, the relationship crap that they went to, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, you have to go through what you do, and sometimes people are jerks in relationships, but it just didn't make an enjoyable book at all. And I feel like they haven't really resolved, like, their stuff, even though the epilogue has. So, I mean, I'm happy for them, but I'm not going to keep these, because I probably won't ever reread them. The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, part 1 of The Lord of the Rings. I'm getting rid of this not because I'm getting rid of the series or because I didn't like it. I'm pretty sure I enjoyed the first one out of all of them the most. Only because it's a grey spot on my bookshelf. You know, like how things are called like a black spot, like you don't really like them and things like that. Well, this is a grey spot because I don't hate the fact of the edition that it's in, but I don't particularly like it because the other two books I've got in these gorgeous illustrated editions by Alan Lee. And this one's like shorter and it's like more worn and less pretty. I'm actually going to take this back, or well, probably not this because it's worn, but this actually came from the secondhand bookshop that I'm going to. But I just thought, you know what, while I'm doing it, let's just get rid of this, and then maybe sometime down the track when I have free money, I'll buy the first one because it's in the edition that I've got, because it's apparently a bit sought out of. So, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this, and yeah. Jonas, Book 1 of The Beautiful Dead by Eden Maguire. I think I enjoyed this book when I read it, but it was, again, in another sort of post-Twilight, read everything, paranormal romance there is. I've always intended to finish this series, but I feel like I'm never going to get around to it. I have sort of this dream that when I get my to-be-read shelf down, I was actually going to initially read everything on my to-be-read shelf, and then go through and go to each book series and go, I need to buy this one, I need to buy this one, and to finish the series. And this was always going to be one of the ones that I was going to do it with, and I used to sit up on eBay and like go through and do like prices and all this kind of stuff because it was just fun to research it. But in the end, I think that's probably never going to happen. I mean, I'm going to cut my to-be-read shelf down, but I'm always probably going to get it to the point where I've still got like a cube full of books, so I'll probably still at least have 30 on my to-be-read shelf that I will just constantly have because I like buying books, I enjoy doing it. And I feel like the series that I'm going to finish that won't be on my to-be-read shelf, I will look at them and go, hey, I feel like this book, I'm going to buy it. I don't feel like I'm ever going to feel that way for this one. I may enjoy the next one, but it's not until I was actually sort of forced myself to go through and buy everything else that I would buy the second one, and that's just not a reason to keep this. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Classic. Nearly everyone's probably heard about it. I don't even need to tell you about it. I just don't really remember enjoying it that much, and I don't think I'm probably ever going to reread it again. Evernight by Claudia Gray. This is again the same sort of scenario as The Fellowship of the Ring, is that it's a small edition. I want the bigger one, so, and it's a grey spot again where I keep looking at it going, I want the other one. So I'm going to get rid of it, and if I just happen to see like Evernight in a bigger edition, I'm going to get it. Even Adam by Michael Grant and Catherine Applegate. This one hurt when I read this because I love the cover. It's a science fiction book about a girl who has an accident, and then while she's recovering, her mother asks her to engineer the perfect boy, and it comes into real life. I was so pumped for this one. So excited for it. And it turned out to be shit. Not shit, just... They just were playing God too much and not in a good way, and the way like everything tied up together, and her friend was like hopeless, and just all of this stuff. It just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I've kept it because the cover is amazing. I mean, look at that. Look at it. It's gorgeous. And I hate it that I didn't love it, that it wasn't that good. So I'm going to get rid of it and just pretend that it never existed. Name Dropper by Emma Forrest. Probably could have gotten rid of this in the first unhaul that I did because I didn't enjoy this. I know I didn't. I probably gave it like 3 stars. It was okay, maybe 2.5 if I'm being a bit harsher. I kept it because there are rare paragraphs that I went, yes, that is how a teenager feels. I just realised I've been staring at these the whole time and not looking at you. I'm really sorry. How are you doing? Yeah, I kept this because there were paragraphs that I was going, yes, this is so good, I totally agree with them, and then most of the book I didn't enjoy, so I'm going to get rid of it because I don't need to keep it. The Horse Whisperer by Nicholas Evans. I don't know, I don't think I need to say much about this aside from the fact that I'm never going to reread it again. Last stack. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I actually read this in high school, bought a copy like years later and never reread it. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and even though I love my Reader's Digest edition, or I like it because it's gorgeous and it's got paintings in it, watercolour stuff like this. Oh, sorry. I feel a little bit like hyperactive. I don't know why. It's Friday. I'm on holidays now for a week. How exciting. I enjoyed Pride and Prejudice. Pretty sure I gave it 4 stars, but I'm never going to reread it in this edition. Never, because I find, like I've said before, this edition is just too hard for me to read. I don't know what it is that mental block, and maybe I'll reread it in a smaller one and I won't like it. But I would just really like to open myself up to the fact of buying a new one and possibly rereading it and really loving it this time because it's in a different format, because I'm a weirdo. Just like a footnote into this size thing. I've just finished reading Brazinga and I loved it. Gave it 4.5 stars and it's in a big format too. So I feel like it's not always the format, but that can sometimes speed me up to read faster for me to enjoy it more if it's smaller, maybe. And the last series is, if I can hold them all up, the Dollenganga series by Virginia Andrews, which is probably better well known as the Flowers in the Attic series. So the basis of this story is that the first one is about a family of 4 whose dad dies back in the, I don't know when it is, but the time where like the mother might not have done anything and I'm explaining it wrong. Anyways, so 4 children, their dad dies. And their mum goes to beg to her grandparents, because she was cut off from them, to look after her and the babies because the mother is, face it, useless. And the 4 children are locked up in an attic because they are supposed to be waiting for the grandfather to pass away, and then the grandmother's going to be more sympathetic. And they end up living there for years. And the rest of the books are basically like sort of what happened after and the consequences of all that. And this one is actually based on on the grandmother. And I mean, I enjoyed most of these. Flowers in the Attic was probably the best one, the original. This one was okay, but the main chick that it follows, Kathy, kind of fucks up her love life. And I just, I don't want to keep them because, I mean, I felt things with it and they're a very compelling read, but I just don't feel like they're happy enough that I want to keep them on my shelves. Like whenever I look at them, it's kind of like, ooh, like, ooh. So my camera just abruptly shut off because it got to 20 minutes. This is my sister's camera, which is why it looks different. My parents have taken theirs while they're on holiday around Australia. I basically just want to say that these aren't happy enough for me to want to keep them on my shelf, and I'm going to give them to someone else. I feel like they're the kind of book that you experience once in a lifetime or once every couple of decades or something. I don't know. They weren't like, I really enjoyed them. I thought they were really interesting, but they're not something that I want to keep. So I just want to say thanks everybody for watching, for continuing to watch and support me. Don't forget to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more of me. Drop me a comment if any of this has made you want to speak about any of it, or have trying to find inspired you enough to leave a comment. Then definitely do it. I'm so happy and open to talk to anybody. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video, and hopefully I'll see if I can get some money for these. So thanks everyone for watching again. Have a good weekend. Bye!